Hello, welcome to tonight's edition of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie.
That's you.
Yes, Unlocking Your Truth is a radio show that broadcasts every Tuesday from 7 to 8 Pacific time on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation. It's also a podcast, and you can watch the podcast on all major podcasting platforms and by going to my website, Dr. Leslie Phillips.
I never see any platforms. How
Do-
come? Forget.
It's me.
Stopped her cold.
Unlocking Your Truth is it's a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we explore a different topic under that umbrella. And I'm a spiritual teacher, and one of the things I really love to do is teach people how to awaken their psychic abilities. And so we're doing a series right now that's all about my unique point of view, my perspective on psychic development. And every one of you listening, obviously, you have your unique perspective on anything and everything as well. And one of the things that I aim to do in my psychic development training programs is help people access their own unique perspective. Help you access your unique information, because every single one of us is different. We are sparks of divine consciousness. We are, each one of us, a fragment of the overall whole, whether your name for that is God, divine source energy, supreme being, or various other names we might use for that. You're a part of it. You're an aspect of it. And each one of us is a completely different and unique one with a different perspective. So tonight, in our foray, in our journey through my perspective on psychic development, we are going to talk about the human energy field, otherwise colloquially known as the aura, the auric. And your aura is your coat of many colors. I wonder in the Bible if that's what the story of Jacob and his Technicolor dream coat, or is it Joseph and his Technicolor dream coat?
Joseph.
Joseph and his Technicolor dream coat was all about. Maybe, just maybe, it was about the aura. So what exactly is the aura? And there are different ways that we can explain it. And one of them is that it is an electromagnetic energy field that surrounds all living things, actually, including you. You have an aura, you have an energy field. And one of the things that we can do when we learn to develop our clairvoyance is we can read the aura. So that's why we're talking about the aura, because the aura is one of the things about a person that we can read and get information about that person from. So it's an electromagnetic energy field that surrounds you. And where does it come from? Well, it emanates from you. And to some degree, of course, the physical atoms and molecules that make up your body are emanating an electromagnetic energy field. But also, in a spiritual sense, you have these information conduits known as chakras. And you have lots of these all over your body, major ones and minor ones, spinning vortices of energy, and they emanate energy fields. And so the biggest or main chakras in your energy system, of which there are 7, each one emanates its own energy field. And we can learn to see and read that energy field and the individual layers of that energy field using our clairvoyance. And I'm going to talk a bit more about the individual layers of the energy field in a moment. But the best analogy or metaphor that I've found to describe the human energy field, and forgive me if you don't know what this is, but you can Google it later and have a look, is a cuttlefish. Have you ever seen a cuttlefish? So a cuttlefish is a cephalopod, which means it's related to things like octopi and squid. But this amazing creature has, its skin is multicolored and constantly shifting and changing. It's full of these different pigments. And so if you Google and you look at a cuttlefish in the wild, you'll see that the colors on its skin are rippling and undulating and shifting and changing. And it's very beautiful and kind of mesmerizing. And so you'll see that they can use this as a kind of camouflage. So they might make themselves blend into the ocean or the ocean floor with the ripples of the waves. But if they are doing different things like foraging for food, they'll have a particular type of array and set of colors and patterns. Or if they're seeking a mate, they'll have another different array of patterns. Or if they're being aggressive and having some kind of aggressive exchange with another cuttlefish, or if they're afraid because there's a predator, their skin is constantly this kaleidoscope of colors, and you can learn to read and understand the patterns. And I think that this is a really great metaphor for the energy field, because we can see the cuttlefish doing this with our physical eyes. It's kind of like what the energy field looks like a bit. And it also helps to introduce the concept that your auric field is changing all the time, just like the cuttlefish. So it's funny because, you know, sometimes people in the past have said to me, well, what's my aura color? And it's not one color. It's many colors, and it's many constantly shifting and changing colors. Or they will say, well, I had my aura read 25 years ago, and I know it's purple. Well, maybe it was purple. It had a purple aspect to it 25 years ago, but you don't stay the same. You don't stay the same from 1 minute to the next. You don't stay the same from 1 second to the next. And your energy field is reflecting everything that you do, just like the cuttlefish fish. So if you're seeking a mate, your aura might look quite different than if you're in the grocery store foraging for your dinner. Or, you know, if you're afraid, or if you're angry, or any other number of things, your energy field is completely reflective of you and your state of being. That's why it's been sometimes called the fingerprint of God. But really what it is, it's the fingerprint of you. But unlike the fingerprint on your fingers, it changes. It changes because you change. As your energy changes, your aura changes. So this is why it's such a great tool for the psychic to read, because it's, you know, we've got sayings, don't we, in the English language, he wore his emotions on his sleeve. Well, everybody wears their emotions and everything else in their energy field. And if you develop your clairvoyance, you can see it. You can see what's going on within somebody by looking at their energy field. And so it's not just emotions. It can be their emotions. It can be mental energy. It can be, we can pick up things on a physical level and spiritually speaking. And we can get information about their past, their present, even their future, because we can start to see the direction that their energy is heading towards. We can see records of events that have happened to them in life, all the way back to their childhood. We can see what they believe about things. We can see where the energy is flowing, where the energy is blocked. There's so much that we can see from a person's aura. So it gives a snapshot in time. Your aura gives a snapshot in time of you as you are in this moment. Everything that's going on with you. What you're thinking, how you're feeling, all levels of your reality. And think about that for a moment. Imagine a world where everyone was clairvoyant. Nobody could hide anything from anybody else. You know, somebody might say to you today, oh, what's wrong with you? You look sad. Oh, no, I'm fine. Well, hey, if you're sad in the world where everyone's clairvoyant, we know that you're sad. We know that you're angry. We know that you're working on issues to do with feeling controlled by your boss, because it's all there in your energy field for all to see clairvoyantly. But when you think about that, that's enormous, isn't it? It's enormous. What an enormous amount of information. We're like these walking libraries. Your aura, another thing that the aura has been called, it's the book of you. It's part of your Akashic record, actually. It's the book of you. You're a walking library. And we can pull different books off the shelf and look at them, depending what we want to know about you. If you are wanting to delve into your emotional life, your relationships, then we can pull out a chapter or a book from this walking library that you are and go, well, hey, what's going on with this person and relationships? Who are they in relationship with now? How's that going? What's the interaction between them like? What have their relationships been like in the past? Who are the major relationships that they've had? You know, what was the nature of that? How did it go? And what are we looking at them projecting into the future based on what we're observing now? So we can start to simplify this rather complex structure by focusing in on specific aspects. And one easy way to do that is to look at and say, let's break it down by the energetic layers, because the auric field is made up of many interpenetrating layers of energy. It's not just one thing. I mean, it sort of is, but it's kind of multidimensional. And so interpenetrating, what does that mean? Wow, that's layers, but it's not layers like this layer on top of this layer on top of this layer. They're interpenetrating, they're coexisting. They're coexisting. But with our clairvoyant vision, we can pick them apart. Like the idea of, well, I'm going to read this book now and I'm going to read this chapter now. So we can use our clairvoyant vision to be able to dial in, to be able to focus in to specific layers. So we're just looking at the layer that emanates from a particular chakra. And so by knowing and understanding the chakra system, we have, in a way, a little key. So if somebody comes and says, I really want to know what is going on the level of communication. I'm so afraid. My boss wants to give me a talk at work. I want to get to the bottom of what's going on with me. We can go, aha, well, that would be the fifth chakra, which relates to communication. So let's home in on that layer of the energy field. Let's read the energy of that layer of the energy field, and that will give us some information about what's going on. What is the evolutionary growth cycle that this person is going through on the level of their fifth chakra? Or if they come and they say, I feel cut off from my higher information, I feel cut off from God, I just feel like there's nothing there. We can go, oh, which chakra is that? That would be the crown chakra. The crown chakra is the gateway to higher consciousness. So let me take a look, let me focus my clairvoyant lens so that I'm looking at that layer of the energy field. I'm focusing in there and seeing what's going on with them. And, oh, you know, wow, it looks like they were brought up in Catholicism and they learned that, or some kind of religious cult, and they learned that there has to be an intermediary between them and God. And even though they're not in that cult anymore, some of that programming is still there, you know, or they grew up with a very strict father, and the father put themselves in this dominant position, you know, and so it's energy from their father not giving them permission to be themselves and access their own information. So the answer could be many things, but knowing and understanding the chakra system gives us a little key, helps us know where we can focus, and then by looking at the energy field emanating from the chakra, then we can gain specific information. And we can also give somebody a reading of the overall landscape of their reality. If we give them a reading of all of these layers of the energy field, then we take a journey through all aspects of that person as they are right now, as they are growing right now on all these levels of their reality, growing or stuck, whatever it is. And we can give them information that's self-reflective, reflecting their information back at them to help that come to their consciousness so that they can take the next step along in their path. And with that, I think we'll just let that settle in, and we'll take a break for some messages. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's edition of Unlocking Your Truth, which is your aura is your coat of many colors.
Yeah, but it's also the Earth's coat of many colors as well, isn't it? I mean, everything living has energy, so everything living has some form of aura.
That's right. Everything living, and well, everything, not everything living, everything.
Yeah,
Even
everything is
something
energy.
that would
Yeah.
appear to you to be inanimate. Everything is energy. And we talked in the first part of the show about how we can see that energy, but we can also develop ourselves to feel the energy, to sense and feel the energy using our hand chakras. So you can do a clairvoyant reading with your sixth chakra, but you can feel the energy with your hand chakras. So your hand chakras are to some degree how you create in the world and how you interact with what's in the world. And so it's possible for you. And you know what? I encourage you listeners to do this as an exercise. Walk around your house, your office, and take your hands and choose different things. Choose like a plant, I don't know, a cup of tea, anything you like, and just with your hands start to Start far away from the object and then gently, slowly move in towards the object and feeling and sensing as you go. And at some point, you will feel the boundary of the energy field of that object. It will just subtly feel different, maybe a bit spongy, maybe a bit bouncy, you know, maybe your hand can just bounce off that a little bit. And so this is a great way to develop an awareness of auras as well. It's a great way to get started, actually, because it's simple. And it doesn't involve you, well, how the heck do I use my clairvoyance? I don't know. How do I use my third eye? But you've got a pair of hands and you can you know, feel subtle energies with those hand chakras. And notice the different feelings between, I don't know, your different plants, your pets, your friends, your computer, your cell phone.
But just be careful when you do it with your friends. You don't want to go up and go without letting them know what you're doing.
Now, if you have trouble with even that, so you're like, well, I can't see anything and I can't feel anything. So, Dr. Leslie, what on earth are you talking about? Then I have another suggestion. How to start developing aura awareness is a couple of copper rods, and you can buy these in the dollar store. They often have them in the gardening section. You know, you've got those little metal things that you poke into the ground in plants, and you can just make them into a little L shape and get some plastic straws and put the short end of the L shape through a plastic straw. Get 2 of these and hold them, and you can, and they basically act like dowsing rods. So you can walk towards things with these copper, I don't know what to call it, rods, and they will recognize the edge of an energy field, and they will spring open when they hit the edge of an energy field. So as you walk towards a person or a plant, as it hits the energy field, it will open. As you retreat and walk away, it will close back down. You can walk around your land and find energy hotspots. Feel the energy of the land even using these. So energy's all around us. Energy fields are all around us. Everything is energy. And you are constantly existing in and interacting with a great sea of energy. And you have physical senses that give you the ability to sense that energy within certain wavelengths. But you've also got psychic abilities that give you a broader range of perception of these energy fields. So there you have it. Your aura is like, I hope I say the right person now, Joseph's Technicolor dream coat. And it's like a cuttlefish because it's constantly shifting and changing in response to everything that's happening to you, in response to your growth. So in any lifetime, we go through many cycles of growth and change. We're constantly encountering different experiences, different things are happening to us, and we can experience them as positive, negative. We can feel happy about it, sad about it, struggle with it, feel excited, you name it, but all of that is reflected in your energy field. It can be things that we're not consciously aware of as well. And really, in a way, why would you go for a psychic reading? Why would you go for an aura reading? If you knew everything about yourself, you'd probably think, well, I don't need to, do I? Because I know everything. So it can be to make conscious what is at the moment unconscious. So you can become more conscious of yourself and more conscious of what it is that's driving you, what it is that's causing you to behave in a certain way, react in a certain way, see things in a certain light. Why can't I get along with my mother-in-law? You know, that can give you a whole different perspective on what's going on energetically by having your energy field read. Maybe your mother-in-law's in your space. Maybe you've got so many matching experiences. It's like looking in the mirror and sends you running every time. So the point of having your aura read is increased self-awareness, self-development purposes, healing yourself, becoming aware of blocks and limits so that you can release them, and so much more. So I feel I've probably talked long enough for today. So I would love for those in the live audience, because listeners, if you're listening on the radio or you're listening to a recorded podcast, what you might not realize is that we have a live audience on the show. And that live audience,
we're hoping so,
gets to be live because we pre-record the show and we stream it on YouTube and Facebook. And the Facebook group to ask to join is the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group. And the YouTube channel is, I always forget, I always say it's just my YouTube channel, but I should say exactly what it is. I think it's just Leslie Phillips. I don't think it's Dr. Leslie Phillips, it's just Leslie Phillips.
Let me check that, because
Yeah,
I get confused on that as well. I think it's Dr. Leslie Phillips, because I looked at it today. YouTube, Dr. Leslie Phillips, because as I'd sent you that. Yeah, it's just Leslie Phillips.
Yeah, Leslie Phillips is the YouTube channel. LESLYPHILLIPS. And the website is also Dr. Leslie Phillips. So YouTube is Leslie Phillips. The website's Dr. Leslie Phillips. The Facebook group is Awaken Your Psychic Abilities. And we would love to have as many of you as possible in the live stream audience, so that we get a variety of perspectives and a variety of questions. And of course, you benefit because you get to ask your questions and have them answered. And it's fun to be live. So we encourage all of you out there who've not joined us live yet, come along, it's fun.
I just like the way you say that. Come along, it's fun. Okay, so that means you're ready for questions, right, Dr. Leslie?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so let's do our first question. And our first question is from Carol. Carol says, can you explain the difference between aura reading and chakra reading?
Yeah, so aura reading and chakra reading. An aura reading is the reading of the energy field. A chakra reading is a reading of the energy conduits. So in a chakra reading, we might look at the energy center itself, how it's spinning, how the energy is moving. We might look at that on a kind of mechanical level, how the energy is flowing through it. We'll read the colors and symbols and pictures that might be in the chakras, look at how open the chakra is, if there's anything that's limiting it from operating correctly. An aura reading is we read the layers of energy that emanate from the chakras. That's basically the difference. All right, next question.
Sure? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. This one's from Brian. Brian says, Dr. Leslie, you had mentioned relationships and communication being reflected in the aura. Lately, I've been getting signs reminding me of a friend. Maybe it was a potential relationship, but we parted ways over 3 years ago. Yet, a song that reminded me of her, seeing her coming across her birth date a few times, etc., besides her popping into my mind here and there. I'm wondering if you could look at that and give me some insight behind that and what it means. I know sometimes these things can come back around. It's got my attention and got me wondering.
Okay. And I'll just make a comment. One of the things that we want to move towards for a while on the show is
I've already put any topic, so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. No, but questions that relate to learning about metaphysics and spirituality rather than personal readings. But okay, so you said, so I'm just trying to see how that relates to the aura, and probably it doesn't. It could do if that person's energy was in your energy field or your energy was in their energy field. But you said, well, I've been thinking about this person recently and a song dropped into my head about them. And I guess you said, saying, what is the meaning of that? Okay. Could you read it again, please, Corey? Because
I charge for a second reading, you know. Okay, Dr. Leslie, you'd mentioned relationships and communication being reflected in the aura. Lately, I've been getting signs reminding me of a friend. Maybe it was a potential relationship, but we parted ways over 3 years ago. He had a song that reminded me of her, seeing or coming across her birth date a few times, etc., etc., besides her popping into my mind here and there. I'm wondering if you could look at that and give me some insight behind that and what it means. I know sometimes these things come back around. It's got my attention and got me wondering.
I feel like I'd need more information and a more in-depth reading for it, but I'll see what comes up. See, it's always challenging on the radio, isn't it, to be quiet? But I feel like this one's not. I'm going to have to look at it and be quiet for a second. So bear with me. So one of the things that we would say that it could be, and it looks like it is, at least partially, is that you are still processing that relationship. And so we store our memories of relationships and events that have happened to us in our energy field. And sometimes we have unresolved aspects of that. And so we can go through a growth cycle where we are sorting through that information in order to, could be to move on from it, could be to resolve certain parts of it, and so on. And so I think, at least in part, that's what you're doing. And for some reason, I see energy around the third chakra, and the energy field relating to the third chakra that is mapping to this question. So I don't know whether there was any way in which you were hurt at the end of that, or there were things that you regretted about it, but it looks like, at least in part, that you're processing some of that. A song dropping into you that reminds you of the person. It's drawing your awareness to the person. The song might have a message in it. That would be perhaps your clairaudience that was receiving that. So I hope you find that at least a little bit helpful, Brian. I'd kind of need to know, and I'm not going to do it on the show, but I'd kind of need to know the name of the person and look at the interaction between the two of you and that person's energy and your energy. All right, next question.
Hang on a second. I just have to cough. Okay, next question. Sharon says, hello, would you please say again what you use for dowsing? I'd like to do so.
You know what? I might get Corey to explain this because he made them. So he can probably think of the right language.
Do you not have them handy, Dr. Leslie?
They're upstairs. Oh, well, then I might do. But then all the folks on the radio won't see it, but the people in the live audience will.
You could actually go online and just dowsing, DOWSING, dowsing rods, and you can look at images of them. And basically what it is the ones we made out of copper that you get at the dollar store, and it's just about an 18-inch rod or so, and then you bend about 5 inches, right angle on the same distance, like 5 inches, and we put a little piece of straw over the short end and then bend that up so the straw can't fall off. This is so that the dowsing rod can turn easily in your hand and not be stuck. And then you can it's just a simple version. You can use copper, you can use other metals too. There's all kinds of different ones, but you need to use something that is attracted by a magnetic force, by an electrical force.
Yeah. So anyone who is looking at this on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook group or in the live audience can see an example of this. If you're listening on the radio or the podcast, you won't do. But you can always, if you're interested, go to drlesliephillips.com or Leslie Phillips on YouTube and find this episode and go to about halfway through and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. All right.
Okay. This is from Katie. Katie says, does our aura reflect our energy when we're dreaming, or does it work differently when we sleep?
That's a really great question, Katie. And so I'll answer that in a couple of ways. You have a physical body and an astral body, and both of them have an energy field. And usually what happens when you are awake, your astral body is slotted into your physical body like a Russian doll, and those energy fields are combined. I'm going to have to take this question after the break because Corey's saying that we have to go to a break. And so I'm going to get him to ask me again when we come back from the break because I don't have enough time to finish answering it. Welcome back, listeners. So Corey, can you read Katie's question again, please?
Yes. Does our aura reflect our energy when, or does it work differently when we sleep?
Thanks, Katie. That's a great question. So what I was beginning to explain is you have a physical body and you have an astral body. And both of them are electromagnetic and both of them have an energy field. When you are asleep, your physical body and your astral body are separated. And your astral body is the one that you're going on your dream adventures in. When you are awake, generally speaking, your astral body is slotted into your physical body, a bit like a Russian doll, and the energy fields of those two are combined. Now, sometimes when I'm working, especially on healing somebody, I will deliberately take their astral body out of their physical body and read the energy field of their astral body separately from the energy field of their physical body. So they have separate energy fields. They can be separated and looked at separately, or they can be combined and looked at together. The other thing I'll say about that is you do not bring into the physical body all the memories of all the experiences that you have had while you are dreaming. Why? Because the dream experience is infinite and the physical experience is finite. You can't bring it all in, and not all of it is relevant. So you have what's called an out-of-body memory, which is located in the third chakra. And so you can read somebody's dream experiences by looking at that energy center, the energy of that energy center. So that gives you a bit of information about that. And that's a great question. I've never been asked that question before, so thank you. Next question.
This is from Carol. Carol says, would a deep issue be found in the chakra rather than the aura, or could it be in both?
It could be in both, and I would just let go of intellectualizing this information.
Okay. And this is from Amber, whose last name reminds me way back in high school. My first girlfriend when I was 15 years old. In regards to the copper rods in the reading energy, can you expand on this? I'm familiar with rods and well-witching and wondering the correlation with your bringing it up in today's Aura webcast.
Well, you know, I didn't know I was going to bring it up. I'm just speaking off the cuff, and whatever comes out is what comes out. But yeah, I mean, you know, I assume, I'm not sure what well witching is, but I assume it's finding
Looking for water.
Yeah, and you could use these for finding water. I mean, they're basically just a form of dowsing rod. What I've used them for in the past, and why I have a load of them and why I had them made, is that sometimes if I'm teaching a live class that's about aura awareness, we give the students these to play with. And one of the things that we get people to do is, because you can be conscious of your aura and you can move it out and bring it in, and move it out and bring it in. And you can learn to do that consciously. And so this is a great validation. If you've got somebody who's doing that, their partner can walk towards them and the rods will change when it hits the aura. And then we'll say, okay, do it again. This time have your aura further out. And the point at which the rods change is going to, again, reflect the edge of the aura, which now is in a different place. So I don't know whether that's expanding on them enough, but they're basically a way of sensing energy. They're a tool that you can use to sense energy. And our house that we live in is pretty old, and there's all sorts of little mini energy vortices all over. So I could walk around our house all day feeling, seeing what these things do. Yeah, hopefully you can expand your question a bit more, Amber, if that didn't do it for you. Just be a bit more specific in your question.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Leslie.
You're
This is
welcome.
from the Jerry. And Jerry says, I had a romantic connect last week that has awakened my heart and maternal instincts. I was drawn into his aura field and it felt so safe, secure, and stable. Was it me projecting my aura on him or vice versa?
Well, that's a good question. You probably were just both interacting, but let's have a look. Well, okay, there's a lot that we could talk about here. One of the main things is that you had the effect on one another to raise each other's vibration. And this is often what happens when people first get together. You know, it's like they're just so happy to connect. They're getting along. Wow, here's someone that really understands me. We can talk to each other. It's, you know, and so I'm seeing that you both raised your vibrational frequency, and so you felt good because you had a kind of energetic high. That was part of it. Part of it is, in a way, recognizing an old friend. And it looks like there was a very strong heart connection that you both felt, that there was a strong affinity between the two of you and a resonance between your heart chakras that's just playing off each other and magnetizing that feeling as well. So there's a lot of different energy dynamics that were brought to bear, playing out in that scenario. And but mostly to me, it feels like vibrational and heart-centered. And you said it made you feel maternal, so that's interesting.
She also said that where is that? It says it was absolutely beautiful and felt angelic as well.
Yeah, so there, that resonates with what I was saying. Is like your vibration just peaked, it just went up as a result of the interaction that you were having. Thank you for that question, and I'm glad that you had a lovely romantic interlude.
Yes, she was walking on clouds.
Yes, that's very nice to hear.
Okay, this is from Katie. Katie says, do you need to physically see someone to read their aura? If not, would you mind doing a quick reading for me?
So, no, I do not need to physically see somebody to read that aura. And B, to do an aura reading takes about half an hour. So no, I won't give you an aura reading on the show. People who want an aura reading can book an aura reading. What I will do is I'll see one of the layers that wants to pop out at me. See which one we want to talk about. Well, you've got a lot going on it kind of everywhere, so it's hard to pick one. But I'll go for the crown chakra, because the crown chakra is lit up like a Christmas tree, and it looks like you are enjoying this subject and learning about it, and that you have an interest in it, and you have your own information about it as well. And so your crown chakra is like, it's like ears pricking up. And so so that layer of your energy field that emanates from the crown chakra, let's have a look. Well, it's kind of interesting, and what you're showing me is a picture of a person. Maybe it's you, maybe it isn't. And then there's just this huge electromagnetic, we call it a tube torus, the shape of it, just this huge flow and circulation of energy that is much bigger than the person, and with a lot of activity up in the higher part of the energy field. And it feels like what you're working on is expanding your understanding of what it is to be human, what it is to be spiritual consciousness, what energy is. And expanding into just really expanding your concept of who you are. Almost into a multidimensional level. So it looks like there's a lot of growth happening on the level of your crown chakra. All right.
Hey. We have one from Sarah. So Sarah says, do you have any recommendations for a blocked third chakra?
For a blocked third chakra. So in my psychic development courses, I teach many different tools and techniques so that you can learn how to unblock your third chakra. I will give you one of those. So one is to take a psychic development course and learn how to do it, learn energy techniques to do it. And I have such courses. The other is go and see an energy healer, somebody like me, and say, hey, my third chakra feels blocked. Can you help me clear it? And we'll give you one, which you can do yourself, which is grounding. And Corey will post in the chat where you can download a free meditation to teach you how to ground. So grounding is a way that you connect your energy to the planet. And you can create it from your first chakra as an energy flow to the center of the earth. And then you can use it both to anchor your consciousness more into the body, but also to release and let go of anything that is a problem for you, including a blocked third chakra. So the idea would be that you ground and then you focus with your intention on sending what is causing the block in your third chakra down your grounding cord.
And folks, if you're enjoying the show, please don't forget to give us a like, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And this is probably the last question. This is from May. We used to read auras years ago, and we simply looked for white light around the individual. Were we just not developed enough to see the colors?
Well, May, there's all sorts of different information out there on how to read auras. The short answer is probably yes. And I'm wondering whether you were having somebody teaching you to do it, was teaching you to do it with your physical eyes. Because often that's what they'll do, you know, stare at somebody until an outline of that person appears. The way I read auras and the way I teach people to read auras is not through your physical eyes, it's through your third eye, it's through your clairvoyance. And so it sounds like you weren't doing the same thing. So, yeah. So you can definitely learn to be able to see the different colors or know the different colors or sense the different colors, to be able to distinguish the different energy frequencies that are emanating from the different energy centers.
Well, Dr. Leslie, that's another show.
Well, that's fantastic. And do come next week, because I think we're going to talk about intuition and life purpose next week.
Yes, intuition and your intuition and unique life purpose.
But by the way, I would say, you know what?
Oops.
Oh. Thanks. If you're stimulated to want an aura reading, then do check out on my website. You will find there's a whole page on aura readings, and you can definitely book to have an aura reading with me. And then you'll get a lot more detail about you.